Hello，所有的杰斯家人们，大家早上好，我是大中华区的产品顾问 Lindsay，欢迎大家上线和我们一起来学习健康以及产品的知识。在今天的课程开始之前呢，我要先提醒大家，我们在今天的课程当中有提供同步翻译的服务，所以呢，不论你是使用桌上型的电脑，或者是手机还是平板，首先要先请您呢将您的 Zoom 的版本更新到 5.0 以上。那每个平台的翻译的功能显示的位置都不太一样，所以要麻烦大家先找到语言翻译的功能键，并且点选中文来作为今天主要收听的语言哦。那如果你使用的是桌上型的电脑的话呢，在这个语言翻译的位置，它可能会是在你荧幕的下方，然后有一个地球的图案，请你点选口译，然后选择中文。那如果你是使用手机或者是平板的话呢，在你的右下角的地方，你可以点选语言翻译来点选中文的服务。所以呢，要先请大家呢，先把这个翻译的这个功能键呢，先点开，待会在课程当中的时候呢，才不会手忙脚乱哦。那在今天的课程当中呢，我们非常荣幸的邀请到干细胞的专家，同时他也是 Drapeau 配方的配方设计者 Christian Drapeau。那在今天的课程当中呢，他将带领我们一同来了解 Drapeau 的科研基础。我相信呢，大家一定都非常的期待。如果你今天已经准备好要开始今天的课程的话呢，你可以在聊天区呢输入1，让我们知道你已经准备好要开始今天的课程了。那我相信呢，大家都知道我们的 Drapeau 呢，在10月的时候呢，在全球年会当中，大中华区呢正式发表。那杰斯的 YES 细胞优化管理系统呢，就是从我们身体的最小单位细胞来做调理，来优化现代人的健康以及生活品质。而 Drapeau 的目标呢，就是帮助干细胞从骨髓呢释出进入循环当中，来启动自我的修复力。那在今天的课程开始之前呢，我们特别邀请到钻石级总裁 Mandy 以及双钻石总裁 Julia 来跟我们分享 Drapeau 的神奇魅力。那他们2位呢都拥有医护的背景哦。那首先呢，我要邀请的是双钻石级总裁 Julia， 她呢其实她本身从事护士工作呢有10多年的经验了。那她主要呢是在肾脏科照护病人。那我相信大家都知道，护士的工作压力真的非常的大，而且呢还常常需要轮班哦。所以说她的梦想就是呢，想要找到一份可以让她睡到自然醒的工作。所以当他朋友告诉他呢，杰斯就是一份可以让他睡到自然醒的工作，他就加入了。那也因为他本身的这样的一个背景呢，也帮助他顺利的发展属于他自己的事业。那究竟呢 Drapeau 有怎样的一个神奇魅力呢？就让我们一起来听听看他的分享。嗨 Julia。
嗨，全球的杰斯家人们大家好，我是 Julia。那我现在在美国洛杉矶，非常荣幸公司今天邀请我跟大家分享一下我们这个 Drapeau 哈。我记得特别清楚，当这个产品呢在美国刚刚上市的时候哈，那我们团队的医疗团队有医学博士，他就找我，他说 Julia， 你能不能我想跟我们这个杰斯公司的这个市场推广部的总裁见个面。哎，当时我就在想，你又不是一个经营者，为什么要跟他见面呢？他说这个产品太好了，他说我以前也就是研究过关于类似这个蓝绿藻这方面的科学知识哈。那当他这么一讲呢，我觉得我也更加的兴奋哈。那我也就看一看我们这个Drapeau 的发明人，他也是一个干细胞的先驱者哈。那他也参与了就是在90年后期的时候，一个研发叫 AFA 的，就是这个蓝绿藻的这个研发哈，就是对于怎么支持我们这个骨髓能够释放出这个干细胞。那我觉得我们大家都知道哈，什么呢？就是说很多人都去打干细胞，为什么打干细胞呢？就知道我们干细胞的数量越多，对我们人身体的修复啊，还有我们的年轻啊，都起到很重要的一个作用哈。那这个Drapeau 呢，就能够释放我们就更多的从骨髓里释放出更多的干细胞哈，能够就是说让这个沉睡的这些状态的干细胞能够激活它们哈。那这个产品呢，在美国已经有一段时间了哈。那我也是用了一段时间，我想跟大家分享一下我是怎么用的哈。那我是每天早上一睁眼，因为我准备好一杯水，就把这个 Drapeau 和这个 Naro 给放在一起一冲，这个味道也很好哈。然后呢，就是下午的时候，或者是说晚上，不管反正下午喝水的时候，我也可以再冲另外一包。那用了这么一段时间哈，我觉得对我自己的亲身的体会是什么呢？因为我过去小的时候呢，就是搞过体育运动，那我是因为就是终止了这个运动的生涯，是因为膝盖出了问题哈，膝盖出了问题，所以就不能继续当运动员了。那我就非常的注意，平常的时候，关节可能会经常就是剧烈运动会经常痛哈。那我经过10年的杰斯产品呢，我就已经改善了很多哈。像我就说平常可能多走走路啊，上下台阶可能还没有什么，就没什么反应。但你说如果剧烈的运动的话，我可能就还会感觉有点疼痛哈。那最近我发现，因为疫情的原因哈，大家都在家里宅着了，那我就开始好，那我们就锻炼身体了。那我每天呢，我将近坚持了快3个月了哈，我每天大概都走急行军，就是走将近5公里，而且是爬山。那我就突然感觉到，哎，3个月我这关节一点感觉都没有，就没有疼痛，没有说怎么让我想起，哎，我过去还有关节疼痛的问题哈。那我觉得可能就是因为我这一段时间用了一段时间这个Drapeau2020起的一个作用哈。那还有呢，就是我妈妈已经86岁，我们很多的杰斯的会员都知道哈，我妈妈86岁都非常的精神，但是她过去年轻的时候呢，她就是腰就是骨折过，所以留下一个后遗症，就是现在年龄大了，就是站的时间长啊，他就腰不疼，就腰就是非常的酸痛哈，就站不久。但是好像就是我现在也是每天一直让他坚持吃2包这个补露哈，那我就发现哎，他现在可以跟我们去什么逛一逛啊，每天在这院里的还走一走路啊，站着家里来人的时候他也帮忙啊，在厨房里，哎，那天我还说，哎，我说妈，你腰不疼了吗？怎么在厨房里站了2个多小时，这帮着来做饭哈？所以我觉得这都是这么长时间用的这个Drapeau2020的一个结果哈。还有真的还有太多的这个会员的见证来跟我讲，然后我们还有一个就是我一钻石的妈妈，她那天也跟我讲。他是特别严重的骨质疏松，那他经常过去哈，在他70多岁，反正经常骨折，但是每次骨折呢，我们都知道哈，伤筋动骨100天，但是他最近哈，因为他的女儿也让他每天吃3包，他说我最近好一次的骨折，他说我发现，哎，我怎么这次的 recover 就是说恢复的时间好像没有以前像3个月或者更长的时间，好像我觉得我这1个月就都可以很动了哈。我说对，你可能就是因为用了这个 Drapeau2020的一个作用哈。真的这个产品就是帮助了很多人，还有就是说我们的免疫力啊能够提高啊。过去假如说你感冒发烧，你可能1个星期能够 recover 哈，那现在你可能3、4天或者这样的哈，所以很期待这样的产品在我们大中华哈赶快上市，然后就是已经上市了，希望我们每个人都希望快收到产品，好好的赶快体验这么好的产品。好，那谢谢，那我今天就分享到这里。谢谢，
太棒了，谢谢 Julia 的分享哦。我觉得从她的分享上面呢，我们真的也都看到，就是其实呢，得到健康的同时，其实我们还提升了生活品质，而且还找回了快乐，生活其实会变得更加的充实哦，而且更加的有意义。那接下来呢，我就要邀请我们的钻石总裁 Mandy。那他是来自洛杉矶的 Mandy 博士呢，他本身是肿瘤科的医师。那虽然他的朋友呢一直跟他推荐杰斯哦，但是他拒绝了杰斯3年了，一直到他看到他家人的改变。Mandy 的家人呢各自有不同的问题，但是呢却都因为接触了杰斯相同的产品而得到了改善。那这也引起了 Mandy 的一个兴趣哦。所以呢，现在就让我们一起来听听看他是怎么看 Drapeau 这个产品。Hi
Mandy。Hello，Lindsay，Hello，大家好。所有我们全球在线的伙伴们，大家好，我是来自洛杉矶的 Mandy。今天呢，非常开心，我们有这个机会在这个线上跟大家分享这么棒的产品。其实当我最开始接触杰斯产品的时候，我自己是拒绝了3年的时间。然后当我后来发现杰斯的这一套细胞优化产品 整个一个系统帮助了我们家4位家人不同的健康问题，用同样的产品都得到改善的时候呢，让我的好奇心大增。所以当我后来对产品研究之后，我才发现，其实我们很多时候我们的思维是需要转变的，因为我们以前很多人，我们大家都认为没病就是健康的，对吧？其实呢，这在临床上也是一样的。很多病人来找我，他们可能有一些不舒服，但是呢，可能血液检查很正常，那我会告诉他们，其实你 OK 的，你回去自己疗养一下就好了。所以呢，其实很多时候我们后来才会知道，其实大部分的人是处在一个亚健康的状态的。那这个亚健康的状态怎么办呢？医生是没有办法的，因为你还没有糟糕到那个吃药的程度，但是呢，你又离健康呢越来越远。所以呢，其实后来当我发现这个杰斯的细胞优化系统真的是第一次把人当做一个整体的时候，来进行全面的内外兼修的时候，我是非常非常激动开心的。所以我就会到处的去跟人分享，我身边的朋友，我的病人，跟他们去分享。因为其实我们现在所有的人类都面临2个问题，就是一个就是全球的老龄化，大家都知道这个年纪越来越大，因为我们越来越长寿，但是呢，随着这个年老的这个衰老的这个进程呢，我们又面临另外一个问题，那就是其实我们很多疾病已经年轻化了。所以其实很多时候我们后来我们随着这个20世纪初的时候，对细胞的研究越来越多，我们才发现原来衰老是因为我们细胞的这个自我修复的这个机能慢慢的在衰老，然后细胞的数量慢慢的随着我们年纪的增长呢在减少，所以我们的这个衰老的这个症状就开始出来了。然后呢，开始研究原来从细胞的这些障碍呀、功能障碍呀减少，到后面才会发现原来是干细胞在起作用。其实今天我们讲的是 Revita Blue， 但是在讲 Revita Blue 呢，我觉得我是需要跟大家就是普及一下，就是 Christian 经常跟我们讲，其实人体的衰老就是一个平衡，也就是比如说我们免疫系统的平衡，就是我们一个健康和疾病之间的一个平衡。如果我们这个衰老的细胞它在衰老的这个过程没有达到我们新生细胞自我修复的这个过程的话，那我们其实就会衰老的很缓慢，或者说我们会很优雅的在衰老。但是如果我们这个平衡被打乱之后呢，那我们这个肯定你就会比别人要老得快。所以我们就说为什么 Revita Blue 会有这么特别呢？跟我们的这个杰斯的这个细胞优化系统会这么契合的这么好？因为我们看一下其他的几样产品，都是针对我们其实基本上是我们已有的细胞，在给它进行自我修复或者说给它营养，然后呢去修复它。但是 Revita Blue 它有好几个优势是什么呢？就是其实就跟我们的细胞优化系统一样，它有配方的优势，它有这个理论上的优势。就是我们知道我们人体里面干细胞的数量多的话呢，那就是可以供于我们自己去自我修复的细胞就更多，等于说当你有了这个量变的时候，那你就更大可能的有这个质变。所以呢 Revita 我们在这个干细胞的这个治疗，或者说在干细胞的这个对很多疾病的预防，现在研究的非常非常的多，所以在这个理论上它是很有优势的，就是它已经是在很多实践里面了。那这个配方为什么 Revita Blue 它会选择这个什么沙棘果，它为什么会选择蓝绿藻，它为什么会选择 beta glucan， 还有这个 aloe， 这四大主要成分，其实你把它拆开来看，你去做它每一样成分的这个研究，它这个每一个配方的去做它很多很多的理论上的文献或者是一些动物上的实验，很多。为什么呢？因为他们都有几个共性，就是他们本身就是高抗氧化的，他们本身就是在已经有实验证明，就是有记载，当你服用之后，你身体里面的干细胞的数量就会增多。所以呢，它这个配方上面是绝对有优势的，而且它们本身又有很多维生素不饱和脂肪酸矿物质这些东西，所以它把这几个非常强大的配方放在一起，用这个生物科技的方式，其实它每一个成分其实是几千年的东西了，一直都在被民间所用。但是呢 Christian 呢非常聪明，他做了研究之后，他用最先进的生物科技的方法把它们呢放在了一起。这就是我们讲的叫中西医结合的，我真的觉得是先进的西医的生物科技和我们中草药的这些成分放在一起，所以它这个配方上面是非常非常有优势的。那我们有了这个理论优势、配方优势，那第三个肯定就是当我们用了很好的产品之后，我们是不是就会有好像功效一样的，我们就要有感受到，就像我们杰斯的，你用了之后 你可能不觉得是哪里好像有在修复，但是你就整个人你会觉得神清气爽，你会觉得就是整个人就是要看着年轻，活得年轻了。那刚刚我们的 Julia 分享的非常好，就是他们有很多的案例。其实我在接触杰斯这5年以来，看到了太多的案例的见证。每个人的见证可能都会有不一样啊。比如说刚刚我们 Julia 讲的，说吃了这个 Revita Blue 以后，好像很多朋友对关节的这个改善特别的明显。那其实在之前像我看到我自己的妈妈的膝盖疼，因为杰斯的配拳和 AM、PM 改善的，但是呢那个通过很长时间，差不多1年多。那为什么很多人在吃了把 Revita Blue 加进去之后就感觉都特别快呢？因为我们知道 Revita Blue 它是帮我们的骨髓释放更多的干细胞到我们的血液循环里面。那骨髓旁边就是什么？就是我们骨头的软组织啊，对不对？我们的这个叫什么 ligament， 我也不知道那个中文叫什么，反正就是那些筋呐。所以你跟着骨头这周边的这些组织就会最快的受到修复，然后你的这些干细胞才会到血液循环里面去，比如说我们的心血管啊、我们的皮肤啊或者其他的气脏。所以呢，大家会觉得好像是不是 Revita Blue 就是为了关节炎准备的 ？No， 这个太小看它了。只要我们身体里面的干细胞的数量增多，我们自我修复的能力就会加强。那我们其实很多的，在我们临床医学上没有办法的，真的一些小的问题，真的就是可以迎刃而解。当你的自我修复的能力加强之后，所以它跟我们的这个杰斯的整个细胞的优化系统结合起来的话，真的是1+1大于2，然后非常好的一个协同的作用。所以我觉得不是说单纯我们用了 Revita Blue 会感觉怎么样，而是说我们把这一套产品用完之后，你给足时间给足量，好好的使用你的身体。因为每个人的身体的自我修复它都是一个过程，有些人可能来得快一点，有些人可能来得慢一点，但是只要你每天都在服用它的这些，慢慢的你都会感受得到。所以它也是其实杰斯这套细胞优化系统，就是你用了之后你会感受得到它的不同。所以呢我最喜欢就是 Revita Blue 的它的这几个优势，还有就是它和我们其他的这一套产品的这个协同作用。这就是为什么他说用 Revita Blue 会遇见更好的自己。其实你用其他的这一套产品你都会遇见更好的自己，只不过呢加上 Revita Blue 让我们的干细胞更多的时候呢，你就会更快的遇到你更好的自己。所以最后我想送给大家一句话，就是杰斯改变了我的思维，从这个临床的这个以治疗为主，到现在我们用杰斯的这套产品帮助大家去传播健康的理念，然后呢通过这个被动的去等待生病，然后去找医生。其实很多时候那个时候医生也没有太多的办法了，到我们主动的把健康当作是自己的一个责任，然后呢并不是只是医生的责任，然后好好的用这一套产品。而且我们每个人的健康是一个综合的指数，并不是说我用了杰斯的这一套产品我就什么其他的都不用管了。 No， 是一个综合的，还是一样的，你的情绪的健康啊，或者是你的这个睡眠啊、运动啊都需要，然后呢你就会遇见那个更好的你自己。所以大家好好的吃这个 Revita Blue。其实我用 Revita Blue 非常的简单，我每天上班的时候，在开车上班的途中我就吃配拳，吃到配拳到诊所之后呢，我就会 Revita Blue 和这个 Nara 放进去，然后就喝了。然后下班的时候呢，开车喝配拳，回到家 Revita Blue 和 Nara， 其实非常的简单。所以大家一定要坚持使用，然后呢改变看得见，改变是真实的。谢谢大家。
太棒了，谢谢 Mandy 的分享，真的非常的精彩。它让我们知道呢 Revita Blue 呢，其实呢它让我们整个 Yes System 呢其实更加的一个完整了。那我相信呢，在听到2位总裁的一个分享呢，大家对于 Revita Blue 的一定更加的好奇，究竟 Revita Blue 呢有哪些珍贵的成分可以来帮助我们重返年轻，拥抱健康，遇见更好的自己。现在呢，就让我们一起来欢迎科学研发顾问 Christian Drapeau 来为我们说明。Hi Christian。
Hello, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you. Okay, so you want me to start? Okay, so give me 1 second here. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here with you tonight. Tonight for me, tomorrow in the morning for you. It's a pleasure to be with Greater China. So I will talk to you about Revita Blue. Thank you, Julia, Mendy, the whole group there in Greater China. Thank you for this opportunity and for sharing Revita Blue. Now, Revita Blue is the result of 25 years of research, more than 25 years of research. And the product is essentially a product about stem cells. So to understand how Revita Blue works and what it can do in your life, then we need to have an understanding about stem cells. You have all heard about stem cells. I have no doubt it's everywhere in the news, on the internet, in magazines. But anytime we hear about stem cells, it is almost always in the context of a treatment. And the reason why there's so much interest about stem cells in the world, worldwide, in the scientific community, is because of the general recognition that adult stem cells have enormous regenerative potential. But the question that is never asked or that we never talk about is that these stem cells that are used into a lot of these treatments, they come from the bone marrow, they come from the blood, they come from your fat tissue. So in other words, they are already in your body. Since the day you're born, you have bone marrow, you have blood, and you have fat tissue. So these stem cells are already in the body. They do not have more regenerative potential because we take them out and we put them back in. So to me, the big question that for the past 20 years has been the focus of my research was, if stem cells have such amazing regenerative potential and they're already in the body, then what are they doing? What is the natural role of stem cells in the body? And when we understand what stem cells are doing in the body, it really gives us a novel understanding of health and wellness. And I believe, and we will talk about this tonight, I believe that it is going to change the way that we practice medicine. So let's talk a little bit about stem cells in order to really understand what Revita Blue does. First, let's define what is a stem cell. The best way to define what is a stem cell is to first describe what is not a stem cell. All the cells of your body are called somatic cells. They are the cells of your liver, of your heart, your brain, your skin, your pancreas, any tissue of your body. They are specialized cells. They do only one thing. They will never multiply, and they will never transform into a cell of another tissue. At the other end of the spectrum, we have stem cells. Stem cells are cells that are actually nothing. What I mean here is that a stem cell will not do anything in the body. It does not have a function. Its function is in its ability to transform into other types of cells. So historically, stem cells have been known for many decades, probably since the early 1950s, 1960s. They are known to be precursors to blood cells. So they make your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and your platelets. What is one of the greatest discoveries of our time in medicine around year 2000 is when scientists started to document that stem cells have the ability of becoming other types of cells. We know today that stem cells can become functional liver cells. Not only they can, but they do so, and they do so every day of your life. They can become pancreatic cells making insulin. They can become muscle cells, joint cells, heart cells, brain cells. They can become virtually any kind of cell types in the body. When these first observations were done in probably year 2000, 2001, when we became aware of that kind of information, my colleague and I, Dr. Jensen, given on the basis of what was available, we proposed in the scientific literature in a journal called Medical Hypotheses that stem cells actually constitute the natural repair system of the body. So it was just an idea at the time. Now let's fast forward almost 20 years and let's talk about what we know about how stem cells are working in the body. So what I'm describing here is something that has taken place in your body since the day you are born. Anytime you have an injury or anytime something is not functioning properly in the body, the affected area will release compounds that are very well known today. These compounds, they're very well identified in medicine. These compounds will reach the bone marrow and will trigger the release of stem cells from the bone marrow. As stem cells detach from the bone marrow and get into the blood circulation, within about 3 to 5 days after the injury, the number of stem cells will increase 3 to 10 times. Now, these stem cells don't know where they need to go, where there's a need for repair. So they circulate everywhere, but the area that is affected will also release locally another compound. This compound, we see it here by the green dots, this compound, when it touches stem cells, it triggers the migration of stem cells through the capillary wall, so out of the capillary, out of the bloodstream into the tissue. When they are in the tissue, stem cells will continue to see where this signal is coming from. They will migrate to the area of the injury, and upon contact with cellular debris of that tissue, stem cells will transform into cell of that tissue and will basically repair the tissue. It is your repair system. It's the same thing as your immune system. If you have an injury, let's say you cut yourself and you have a bacteria, so you have an infection, the area will send a signal to your lymph node to trigger the release of immune cells. These immune cells will go everywhere in your body, but they will be attracted specifically to the area where you have an infection. Immune cells will be attracted right beside the bacteria, and when they are beside the bacteria, they will release specific compound to kill the bacteria. This is your immune system. So here we have the exact same phenomenon, but with stem cells, and it is for the purpose of repairing tissue. So in this whole process, we have various steps. We have the release of stem cells from the bone marrow. We have the circulation of stem cells, the migration of stem cells into the tissue, and then their multiplication and conversion, transformation into cells of that tissue. But of all these steps, the one that has been the most documented, meaning hundreds, if not thousands of studies have studied the link between the number of stem cells in circulation and health. So what has been studied the most is the release of stem cells from the blood, from the bone marrow. When you release stem cells, you increase the number in circulation. So the link between how many stem cells we have in our circulation and health. So let's look at the main conclusion of all these studies. I'm summarizing here a topic that can be very, very complex. So I'm trying to make it simple, and I'm taking from hundreds, if not thousands of studies. I will show you a few studies just to exemplify or to illustrate what I'm telling you. But I just want you to understand this is not just one or two studies. It is thousands of studies. So the first conclusion is that more stem cells in circulation means that more stem cells are available to participate in the process of tissue repair. So in a very simple term, you get two people with the same problem, let's say a broken bone or a heart attack, it does not matter. We all do not repair in the same way, with the same speed, and with the same efficiency. Remember the story that Julia, I think, shared about her mother. Now that she broke a bone and she repaired much faster. This is typical of the kind of stories that we have. And it's because the one who repairs faster is the one that simply has more stem cells in circulation. There's a direct link between your ability to repair and how many stem cells you have in circulation. So if this is what is happening in the body, then it begs the question, if I have a means of increasing the number of stem cells in the bloodstream, can I enhance the ability of the body to repair? And the answer is yes. If we increase the number of stem cells in circulation, the body has the ability of using the stem cells wherever the body needs them to enhance support tissue repair. Let me show you here, share with you one study to really illustrate this phenomenon. This is a study that was done at the National Institutes of Health in America, where scientists took mice in which they made a knot to the coronary artery, so they blocked the blood flow to the heart, so they triggered a heart attack. Then they let the animal recover, and they separated them in two groups. One group, control group, to which they did nothing, and the other group, they simply injected compounds that are known to trigger the release of stem cells from the bone marrow to put more stem cells in circulation. So the only difference between these two groups is that the experimental group had more stem cells in circulation. So when they looked at the heart of these animals after 1 month, you can see in the control group significant scar tissue in the ventricular wall, in the wall of the heart, new blood vessels, 17% survival in severe heart problems, poor cardiovascular health. In the experimental group, all they had was more stem cells in circulation, you can see the renewal of the ventricular wall, functional new blood vessels in that wall, 73% survival, and normalized cardiovascular function. We can see here the two pictures of the heart side by side. So in a world where there is nothing that we can do to help somebody recover from a heart attack, here are studies telling us that if we can put more stem cells in circulation, the body has the ability, the biology of using these stem cells for tissue repair. And we have very similar studies for repair of the lung, repair of the pancreas, repair of muscles, joint, repair of the brain, repair of virtually the skin, bones, virtually any aspect of the human body that is broken and that needs repair uses stem cells to repair. So if you put more stem cells in circulation, there are studies that have documented the benefits that can be obtained. Now, the third conclusion is, to me, the most important because it touches everybody, not only people who may have problems, but everybody. And it's the contrary of the first two. The first two conclusions tells us that more stem cells in circulation is better. Your body can repair better. The third one tells us that if you happen to have fewer stem cells in circulation, then you are at risk of developing various kinds of health problems, age-related problems. So let me spend a little bit of time here on explaining this one. Today in the world, if you think about it, it's never really talked about this way, but if you think about it, that's what it is. Almost every single age-related degenerative disease is caused by loss of cells. You lose the cells in the pancreas, you have diabetes. You lose cells making dopamine in your brain, you have Parkinson's. You lose cells making T3, T4, you have hypothyroidism. You lose cells in your lung, you have emphysema. Any kind of age-related degenerative problem is always the result of a loss of cells. And the reality is that we lose cells every day of our lives. Why are these problems showing up when we're older? It's because of a very simple phenomenon. In the body, when we are born, all of our bones contain red marrow. This is the marrow that makes stem cells. But as we age, the red marrow transforms into yellow marrow, fatty marrow that does not make stem cells. Already by age early 20s, we have lost most of our red marrow. When we start in our late 20s, early 30s, we have lost all bone marrow in our long bones, and we're left with bone marrow only in our flat bones, the skull, the sternum, the ribs, and the pelvis. And as we keep aging, we continue to lose red marrow as it transforms into yellow marrow. So there is a very, very significant reduction in the number of stem cells in circulation when we pass around 30 years of age. We don't notice it yet, but the point is that when we are young, we have a lot of stem cells in circulation, and as you have seen, children repair very quickly. There's plenty of cells available for tissue repair. But as we age, there's a point where we cross a line where we lose that balance between the cells that we lose and the number of stem cells available to replace the cells that are being lost. When we lose that balance, cellular loss starts to gain ground. This is when we slowly start to lose our health. It does not show up right away. It may take 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years before the problems show up. But it is the slow accumulation of a daily inability to fully repair, to fully replace the cells that are being lost. So essentially, when you have a deficiency in the number of stem cells, like you don't have enough in your bloodstream, what happens is that every day you lose a little bit, and that loss accumulates one day to something that becomes a problem. So this is why having the ability of increasing the number of stem cells in circulation every day can help you maintain your health as you age. Now, this understanding of the link between disease formation or the formation of age-related problem in stem cells is something that has emerged very recently in science. I believe I wrote the first article that proposed this whole understanding of the link between stem cells and aging. And one of the how could I say, one of the proof that at the time I expressed in the article was that the way to prove this view would be to go and measure the number of stem cells in the circulation of people who have developed all kinds of age-related problems. And we should find that the number of stem cells in the bloodstream of these people is less than when compared to a healthy, comparable individual. And now many of these studies have been done. So let's look at a number of these studies. So here is with diabetes. So this is the number of stem cells in circulation in the bloodstream in people who are at various stages of the development of diabetes, so problems with their glycemia, blood sugar. And we can see that there's a direct line. As people advance in the problem, they have fewer and fewer stem cells in circulation. Here's another one, kidney function. So what we have here to the left, we have the number of stem cells in the circulation of healthy people. And then right beside it to the right, we have people who are at different stages of hemodialysis or at different stages of kidney problem. And we can see that the number of stem cells in circulation is about 1/3 the number of stem cells that we find in healthy people. Now, if we make a graph between kidney function and the number of stem cells, we get a straight line. There's a direct relationship between kidney function as you age and how many stem cells are in circulation in your bloodstream. Here's another one. So here to the right, we have people who complain to their doctor for poor erectile function. And we look at the left here, normal, healthy people. If we look at the average number of stem cells in circulation, we can see that we have about half the number of stem cells in circulation when compared to healthy individuals. Now, if we take all these individuals and we establish their international index of erectile function, and we make a graph between erectile function and stem cells, we see a straight line. There's a direct relationship between the number of stem cells in circulation and erectile function. Now, erectile function has a lot to do about vascular health. There are many aspects of vascular health, atherosclerosis, many types, but it's all captured by one huge umbrella, one huge condition, which is hypertension. If we count the number of stem cells in people with hypertension, we can see that it's about half the number of what we find in healthy people. Here's another one with heart disease, so cardiovascular health. So various degree in the development of heart disease, and we can see that when we have the full development of heart disease, about half the number of stem cells compared to healthy people. Here's with Crohn's disease, so digestive health, same thing. Various types of digestive problems of the digestive system have the number of stem cells compared to healthy people. Same thing here with problems related to the brain health. And here, lung health, COPD, which means chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, so lung problem in a general way. Same thing, have the number of stem cells. Same thing with joint problem. I can continue, there are more. I just wanted to choose a few studies to illustrate this relationship here, that there is a direct link between how many stem cells you have in your blood and your ability to repair when a problem shows up, or your ability to stay healthy as you age, as Mandy said, as you age graciously. So what we want to do is that we want to find ways to put more stem cells in circulation. So, and this is where Revita Blue comes, because Okay, so I started to work on this blue-green algae, this aquatic botanical, in 1994. At the time, people were reporting all kinds of benefits. We researched these benefits, but to me, what was impressive, so the benefits were benefits on inflammation, benefits on the immune system, and benefit on the mind. People would experience an improvement or an enhancement of mental clarity, ability to concentrate. We identified the compounds in this blue-green algae responsible for these benefits. But while we were doing our studies, a number of people reported benefits that we could not explain. Let me share you one of these cases, not to tell you that Revita Blue is good for this, but just to make you experience, if you want, what I went through as a researcher to try to understand what we had here. So one day I received, so we have all these results, these cases of people who reported benefits on lung function, on kidney function, on pancreatic function, on cardiac function, on the brain. But they're only stories, so there's nothing we could do for stories. And one day I received a photo album with a letter, and a woman was describing how when she was 12 years old, she was walking with a kerosene lamp, and she tripped and she burned herself 3rd degree on the face, chest, and arm. She was very, very scarred. When she was 60 years old, somebody gave her blue green algae. So she started to consume blue green algae, and she said after about a week, the scars started to inflame, become red and itchy. But she said to her, it was comfortable itchiness. So people around her were telling her, stop taking this product. You see that it's not good for you. But she said that she felt something was healing. So she continued to take the product, and she took a picture of herself in the mirror every week. And then she ended her letter by saying, go and look at the photo album. And we could see through the photo album from the first picture to the last, and at the last, there were no scars left. Everything had disappeared. So again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying at all Revive Blue is good for skin scars. What I am saying is that case, I could not deny it. I could not say it's just a story. I don't have the medical records. I have not followed that case. That case, I could not deny. So it started to really push us to research into what this product was doing. And it is the research on AFA that led us to study about stem cells. So we studied this AFA, and we discovered that indeed what it did is that it triggered a transient release of stem cells from the bone marrow with an increase in the number of circulating stem cells of about 20% about an hour after consumption. So after discovering what AFA, this blue-green algae, was doing to stem cells, to me, it was impossible that in nature, if stem cells are a natural repair system of the body, and there are plants that can support stem cells, it cannot be that there's only one plant stimulating stem cells. So we started to ask the question, what has been known historically to be associated to many different kinds of health benefits? Things like ginseng, for example, goji berry, medicinal mushroom. We studied all of those, and we found that they all have an effect on stem cells. But one of the most interesting was sea buckthorn berry coming from the Tibetan plateau. So this is images of where we harvest the sea buckthorn berry from the Tibetan plateau. And sea buckthorn is very interesting because its name, Ipophae, the Latin name, means shining horse. Ipo means horse, Phae means light. And it comes from Alexander the Great when he went to China, and at one point he abandoned a number of horses wounded in battles into a field of sea buckthorn. And when he came back a few weeks later, he saw a herd of vibrant and healthy horses. And a shiny coat is a sign of health for a horse. So the berry took the name of shining horse. And as we see some of the pictures here of where we harvest the sea buckthorn berry in China. But from there, sea buckthorn berry is included in Tibetan medicine, Mongolian medicine, Chinese medicine, where it has been used for more than 2,000 years for health of the lung, the heart, the cardiovascular system, the pancreas, the skin, broken bones. So when I look at all of this, to me, what it's telling me is that we probably have an effect on stem cells. So we developed a specific extract of sea buckthorn berry. This was published a little bit over a year ago. And what we found is that indeed, this extract of sea buckthorn berry triggers a release of stem cells from the bone marrow. It's sustained. You can see that after 2 hours, the number is still increasing. So a little bit above 30% in the number of circulating stem cells. We also work on a very, very unique extract of aloe. It's not just normal aloe. Aloe vera is very easy to find on the marketplace. This is a very unique extract of aloe vera that had been documented to have effect on various kinds of problems associated with the brain. So it's an aloe vera where the polysaccharides have been digested into smaller fragments, and it's just an extract of specific molecular size of the polysaccharides in aloe vera. And we can see the same kind of results here, an increase of about 30% in the number of circulating stem cells. So that's what Revive Blue is. Revive Blue is a blend of the 3 strongest plants that I've worked on since I started to study plants having an effect on stem cells: sea buckthorn berry, AFA, and aloe vera extract. So when you take RevitalBlue, the outcome, whether you feel it or not, the outcome is that you will put anywhere between 2 to 4 or 5 million new stem cells in blood circulation. These stem cells, when they get into your tissue, can become up to several billion, up to 20 billion tissue cells. So once we know that RevitalBlue now puts stem cells in the bloodstream and we know what stem cells are doing, then who is it for? So the first answer, which is the obvious one, is because stem cells are part of the repair system, then we simply want anybody who has any kind of lingering problems can take RevitalBlue. Now, the second question to this one would be to say, yeah, but what me if I have diabetes, or what if somebody else has Parkinson? What if, and then we can name here any kind of health problems. The answer is the same answer for every single one, every single kind of problems. We have not made the studies with RevitalBlue with any of these studies, so we cannot make these claims. The one thing that we can say is that stem cells have the ability of becoming heart cells, liver cells, pancreatic cells, lung cells, brain cells, skin cells, bone cells, joint cells, cells of any tissue of the body. Not only they can, they do. And if the question is, will my stem cells work for me? Your stem cells will work for you, because if they did not work for you, you would not be alive today. You are alive today because your stem cells are released from your bone marrow and they work for you. The problem is that you may not have enough to fully achieve the outcome that you would like to achieve. So simply give it a try and see what more stem cells in circulation can do for you. Now, anyone interested in healthy aging, now you understand with what we just talked about, what we're talking about is that the health that we have today is in the process of being lost, because it's the simple reality of aging. We have a decline in the number of stem cells in circulation. So every day, just put more stem cells in circulation. RevitalBlue will not do anything to your body. It just puts more stem cells in circulation. It's your body using your stem cells that will make the miracle of leading these stem cells where they need to go. And anybody interested in faster recovery, because one of the most common report is when anybody has an injury or has something that is very acute, that area calls for stem cells. If you put more stem cells in circulation, these stem cells will have a tendency to go more specifically to that area. So when you take the product every day, the team in Hong Kong shared with me the protocol that was designed for you to take all the products, and it's a very well designed protocol. So the way that they describe to take RevitalBlue in the morning and the evening is perfect. If you wanted to give it even a stronger boost, you can add RevitalBlue at midday as well. But it's a very good description of how to take the product. So that is what I wanted to share with you. So Lindsay, I will quit the share here and pass it back to you.
太棒了，谢谢博士今天的一个分享哦。那在今天的课程当中呢，当然我们的伙伴有一些问题呢，想要透过博士呢来获得更深入、更直接的一个解答。那当然呢，在博士刚才课程当中也有提到，就适合的对象 RevitalBlue 适合的对象有谁？那但是呢，我们的伙伴呢还是想要询问，像是有一些特殊的对象，尤其像是癌症的患者啊，到底能不能吃 RevitalBlue？ 而且呢，一天到底可以吃到几包？那有些伙伴就问说啊，那可不可以一次吃5包这样子？那这个部分就要请博士来帮我们回答。
Okay. Cancer is a different type of problems in the sense that stem cells will replace a cell that is being lost. Cancer has nothing to do with a loss of cells. It's sort of a different kind of problem. This being said, it's easy here to get very complicated, but stem cells will be attracted to a tumor, and when a stem cell gets into a tumor, it tends to really help the process. So I cannot tell you that it will do good for a tumor, but I can definitely tell you that it will not make it worse. And we have done studies on this. We have published them. I cannot share too much of these studies, but yes, it can be good. So there's no problem. And you can take 5. It is not a problem. I personally took 9 a day for many, many years. because I was traveling a lot, and with all the jet lag, I just wanted to stay strong. And there's absolutely no problem.
好的，那我们有一些伙伴就是呢，他在体验这个 Revital Blue 的时候呢，有些人可能会有一些状况出现，像有些人会出疹子，那有些人可能觉得啊，是不是好像哪里痛啊，酸痛的感觉特别明显。那像遇到这样子状况的时候呢，就是该怎么样来使用产品比较好？
Okay, let's first start with joint pain or pain that can show up. This is something that we have seen. It's not very common, but we have seen it, and it is almost always associated with people who have had a long history of joint pain. And I cannot give you the exact explanation of why it's happening, but what I can tell you for sure is that most people, if they continue, they oftentimes see great benefit. So all I would say is reduce the amount simply to not make the pain too uncomfortable. If you need to do half a sachet a day for a week, then do it. Just ease it out, but do not stop. Because what we have seen over the years is that most of the time people will get greater benefits after. It is most common and most intense in people who have a long history of taking anti-inflammatory compounds or compounds specifically for the treatment of joint pain. For skin rashes, it is very uncommon. I mean, I have heard this a few times, but very, very uncommon. I'm saying here over the past 20 years, I'm aware of maybe 1 or 2 cases over several million consumers, 1 or 2 cases where we could say it's possible that there was an allergic reaction. But for most people, I think it's a detoxification process. The skin is a very important organ of elimination, and AFA has been shown over the years to be a powerful plant to help detoxify the body. So I would say the same thing: reduce the amount, reduce the phenomenon, detoxify more slowly to just not influence your quality of life negatively, and then give it about a week or 2 and then resume normally. Most of the time it's gone.
好的，那接下来呢，就是因为我们都知道 Revital Blue 这个产品真的太棒，那有些人就想要给小朋友吃，小朋友可以吃吗？几岁开始可以吃？那建议吃的量有多少？
Okay. As you probably know, in the world of dietary supplements, normally if you don't do a study specific for children, then you cannot recommend the product for children. And that is why the product is not officially recommended for children. Now, this being said, if we just talk as users, many children have used these ingredients over the years. I thought when I started 20 years ago, children have plenty of stem cells, so it's probably not going to help them. Very old people don't have a lot of stem cells, so maybe it's not going to help them. All I can say after 25 years of doing this is nothing in reality supports this view. What I have learned over the years is that at any age, if you can put more stem cells in circulation, you give anybody the option of better repair. In children, we have seen it a lot with problems of attention, even problems more like neurological problems linked with attention. And I would say maybe half a sachet twice a day. So it will be a sachet spread during the day is fine.
好的，那因为时间有限，所以我们最后一个问题啊，因为有好几个伙伴在询问，就是有肝脏疾病问题的人，像是有肝炎的状况呢，但是有在服用药物，或者是他准备要做肝脏移植的患者，那这样子的一个状态的话，他可以使用 Revital Blue 吗？
Okay, I want to make sure here that what I'm going to say is not meant to replace any recommendation that the doctor will give these patients. But if we talk in how could I say, if I tell you what I know about this topic, it is not a problem at all. With hepatitis C, with any of these, it is absolutely not a problem. Actually, the liver is one of the organs that renews the fastest. So we have studies published showing that when there is a liver problem, you can renew half of your liver in as quick as 3 months. The liver has an amazing ability to repair, so it is not a problem. If we talk about liver transplant, we also need to understand that when you get a new liver, if you put more stem cells in circulation, these stem cells will go into the new liver and will slowly transform it into your liver. And that is why 5-10 years after the transplant, you almost no longer need any kind of anti-rejection medicine because it's now your liver. So as you put more stem cells in circulation, it can help the process. This being said, it is a discussion that needs to be done with your doctor.
好的，那最后再给我问一个问题哦，就是呢，有一些伙伴呢，他们会受伤，那受伤他们就希望透过 Revital Blue 这个产品来帮助他修复，但有些人就会想要知道说，哇，吃多久可以帮助他就是得到明显的改善？那这个部分博士可以给我们一些建议吗？
With an injury?
对，受伤。
Okay. If we talk about an injury, so I assume that if they have not repaired, so it's a lingering injury. It's an injury that has some sort of a chronic component. What I would say is that remember that stem cells will go where there is a signal that calls for stem cells. So you want to take that injury and you want to, let me take as an example, let's say an injury to your knee. And after a year, you can still feel that it's not completely, normal. I would say take Revital Blue. After about an hour, you have more stem cells in circulation. Go and take a walk. Do something with the area that needs repair in order to help this area to signal, to tell your stem cells, this is where I need repair. And this will help guide stem cells to go where they need to go for repair. So you can help the process of repair.
哇，太棒了！谢谢博士给我们这么棒的这样子的一个建议哦。那今天呢，真的课程真的是非常的精彩。那呢，其实呢，讲到杰斯，我相信大家都知道，杰斯就是年轻的代名词。那透过呢先进的一个抗老化的产品呢，其实我们可以帮助更多的人来重新获得健康，充满活力。如果你想要拥有年轻并且保有健康，杰斯的产品绝对值得您的信赖。那最后呢，再一次感谢我们的科学研发顾问 Christian Drapeau 他今天非常精彩的一个演讲哦。那今天呢，我们的线上课程就要到这里来结束了。那也请大家呢持续的关注大中华区的培训课程，我们下次再见。